Hey everybody! Sorry. Handouts are available for download, but give me just 1 second. Dr. Fab, can you turn the audio back on? Oh, he got booted out. Okay, never mind. Hold on 1 second. We're having a couple of technical issues, so give us just 1 minute to get reset. Dr. Fab is amazing. And I apologize because we were chit-chatting and then he got booted out. So I hope you all had a fantastic weekend. And again, handouts are available. If you look down at the bottom of your chat log, you can click on those to download those while we wait for Dr. Fab to log back in. And we talk about thriving in a new normal. And while we're waiting for him, I just want to remind everybody that we do not have a webinar for next week. We are taking a break. Y'all have the amazing Labor Day long holiday, and I hope you use it to catch up on some rest and relaxation. We will pick back up on the 15th with Dr. Chris Anderson with What Would You Do? HIPAA Scenarios in a Chiropractic Office. And so he's going to describe a couple of HIPAA scenarios, and we're going to work through those to figure out what we would do. And it's just things that you don't think of, a little bit outside of the box. And then we're going to be talking about the new 2021 E&M guidelines with Dr. Mario Fuchineri at the end of the month. And we have our schedule that is up through November. We'll be adding a couple more webinars to wrap up this year. Let me call Fab real quick and see if he's having trouble logging in. So give me just 1 second, y'all. I'm so sorry. Yay! Fab is in the room. Okay, guys. Sorry about that. Technical issues happen. So, Dr. Fab, I've already given your introduction. Not that you really need an introduction, but I've already introed you. Look at that sweet smile. I love this man. Y'all have no idea. And I miss him so much. I'm ready for the new normal to get to a place where I get to go see him in person. But anyway, Dr. Fab, take it away.
Well, thank you, Christy, and thank you for ChiroHealthUSA for doing these webinars for all of us in the profession. It keeps us motivated. It keeps us excited about being in such an amazing profession. And my hope for you that is listening right now is that you will recognize that at this time, the chiropractor is the most essential provider in the healthcare team. I want you to understand that our profession has been preparing for this moment for a long time. The question is, are you responding in a way that's going to allow you to better serve the patients you have, and more importantly, to serve more patients under chiropractic care during this pandemic? So what I wanted to share with you is a process that I have had to develop during this time, because I recognize that this disruptor, right, COVID-19, there is no precedent. In the history of humanity, we've never had a disruptor that impacted every country in the world, that impacted every gender, that impacted every nationality, that impacted every age. And one of the things that we realize is that this disruptor really has been what I call a universal pause. It's been a pause to allow us to take a breath, just take a moment, and reflect upon the way we're living our lives. Reflect upon what is it that we're doing to be able to fulfill our potential. And I want you to know, just like you, all of my businesses, I have 4 companies, all of them were impacted, and I had to pivot. I had to respond. And what I did is I started calling some of the most influential people in the world that I know, and the biggest chiropractic practices that I know, some of the most the leaders in our profession. And what I mean by leaders, I don't mean necessarily political leaders. I'm talking about the people in the trenches, the people that are very good practitioners that have built amazing practices, that do it with integrity, with professionalism. Those are the people that I'm talking about. And I started asking questions. You see, one of the things that I have done for many years is that whenever I deal with something new, whenever I'm dealing with a challenge or a problem or something that I have not experienced before, what I typically do is that I identify 3 people that have already been successful in achieving or surpassing that challenge. And then I ask them questions. I interview them. I ask them questions about what was the most successful thing they did to get over it. What was it that they wish somebody would have told them? What was their biggest mistake during that process? What do they wish somebody would have done for them during that time? And I did the same thing for this, except the one thing is that nobody that I knew had actually gone through anything like this. So what I want to talk to you about is that there's a statement out there called the new normal. And the new normal keeps changing because none of us, and I'm telling you, none of us know what tomorrow will bring. I have talked to my sources in Washington, D.C. I have talked to my sources at the CDC. I have talked to my sources at the WHO. And I can tell you right now, with certainty, no one knows what the future may be. Everybody's speculating. But all I can tell you is that the only thing we know for certain is how you respond to this right now. Not tomorrow, not next week, not next year, but right now is going to determine whether you thrive or whether you survive. It's that simple. Your activity right now, your way of thinking right now will determine whether you thrive or whether you survive. So what I wanted to do with you is that I wanted to share with you how when I started evaluating and interviewing all these influencers, all these big practices, I realized that most of them had 3 things in common. They were doing things when it came to their money. They were doing things when it came to their time. And they were doing things when it came to their impact, the ability to serve others. And what I recognize is that if you really pay attention to those things, you actually will thrive, because those 3 things pretty much control how successful you're being during this very uncertain and difficult time. My hope, my wish, my prayer is that you're healthy, that your family is healthy, that you've been able to practice, that you've been able to serve people the way that you wanted to when you graduated from school, when you enter school. But if you're not, if you're having a challenge, I'm hoping that something I will say to you will resonate, that will remind you or will inspire you to be able to recognize that you're in control of your outcome. You know, I remember a long time ago when I entered personal development, almost 40 years ago, I remember that I was taught a lesson that circumstances never define the person, that what truly defines the person is our responses. So my hope for you in the next few minutes is to help you respond in a way that you can thrive. Because if you thrive, our profession will thrive. Humanity will thrive. You see how important that is? Our profession cannot thrive or grow during this time unless you thrive and grow. Humanity will not grow and thrive during this time unless you thrive and grow. And that's really what this presentation is all about, is to empower you, to give you the power back instead of thinking that somebody else has the power over you, whether it's the governor in your state, whether it's the president of the United States, whether it's the White House Commission, whether it's the CDC, whether it's the WHO, whether it's whoever, the news. You're in control. You're in control. All right, let me share with you what I learned. So when it comes to the first process, the first step on the process is that I realized that most of these people had done one thing. They actually had done an assessment of where they are right now. You see, what happens a lot of times is that if you tend to be an optimist like me, you tend to look everything with, rosy glasses, right? You expect everything positive to happen. I remember telling everyone when we first got involved with the pandemic, I happened to be in Switzerland giving a lecture. And I had some friends that were in Italy, and I was about to go to Venice, Italy. And after my lecture, and my friends called me and said, hey, we're going back to the United States because they shut down the airports in Italy. They actually had to drive to Switzerland to get on a Switzerland airport to come back to the United States. So I finished my lecture and we came back to the United States. And that's when I started recognizing that something was happening. In Europe, we saw it a little bit earlier than the United States, but I knew it was coming. But you know what? Even then, I remember I was telling everybody, oh, this is only going to last maybe a week, maximum 2 weeks. I don't know if you were like me, but that's what happened to me. I was such an extreme optimist that I said, we're going to nail this thing down. How bad can it be? I mean, we've had influenza before. We saw that we did with SARS, and we saw what we did with the other viruses. We got them under control. But this one didn't happen like that. So what happened is that the people that were thriving are able to assess where they are when it comes to their money. They are able to really take a look and ask the questions that you need to ask yourself when it comes to your financial well-being right now. Why? Because your financial well-being is what will give you the opportunity to be in peace of mind, to know that you can linger no matter what happens, no matter whether they shut us down again or no matter what goes on. That gives you the ability to support your family and still feed your children and support your significant other, right? Support yourself. The second thing is that they were paying attention to how they were managing their time. Were they being distracted like everybody else out there? When we were sent home, were they actually watching every rerun in Netflix? Like that was the topic of everybody I talked to. Have you looked at this TV series? Have you looked at this movie? Some people were doing 2 to 3 seasons in a week because they were spending that much time on TV, right? The people that were thriving were managing their time appropriately. They were actually creating goals and rewriting their goals every single day. They were making themselves available to their clients. They were actually owning up to their message and taking ownership of their message and letting other patients know that you were essential, because a lot of people thought that we were not essential and that we were going to be close. But how you were managing your time was critical. And the third thing how were you managing your impact? Were you still wanting to change the world? Were you still wanting to serve more people every single month? Were you still wanting to grow your practice by 20% or 50% or even 100% in 2020? The way you started the New Year resolutions? Or were you just saying, you know what, nobody's really working out there. I'm just going to shut down. I'm just going to get down here, or maybe even get depressed, right? Well, that's what happened. I started recognizing that the people that were doing this, thriving, were managing their impact more than ever. So we start with our goals. What are your personal goals? So what I ended up doing, I ended up creating an assessment that would allow people to recognize that I needed to be clear with my priorities rather than be in chaos. If you don't have clarity right now, it's very difficult for you to execute anything. So I created, like, what are my top 3 personal priorities? What are my top 3 professional priorities? Maybe personal, you know what, I'm going to take this time to actually take care of my body. Eat healthy, exercise every day instead of the opposite. As soon as my gym shut down, what happened? I stopped going to the gym. It wasn't until I saw my kids doing fitness exercises on YouTube in the living room, I'm like, Fab, you have no excuse. Get in that real living room, start exercising you're used to. My diet, right? I started cooking, but I could cook unhealthy foods or I could cook healthy foods, right? So I started making personal choices, maybe spending more time with my children, maybe spending more time with my girlfriend, whatever the case it may be for you. And then when it came back to my business, I had to repivot. I had to put in a virtual component things that were not virtual. I had to do my public speaking virtually because I do still about 70 lectures a year. So I started doing all of that online. I have about 25 clients that I mentor, right? I started recognizing that they needed me more now than ever. I started putting resources for them. I started doing Zoom calls with them to make sure that they knew that I was here all along. Are you doing that with your patients? Are you letting your patients know that you're there? Are you doing your health talks online? Are you inviting patients to come in during this difficult time? Are you reminding them of the value of chiropractic and a healthy lifestyle? Are you reminding them to invest in themselves? The next thing is that I started putting general questions about money. Like, what can I do in order to make more money? What can I do right now? And I realized that you can either create more value for your patients, right? Are you creating products and services that maybe, I give you an example. One of my clients, we came up with the idea of putting together immune kits, right? People weren't coming in. So I said, why don't we put together an immune kit? So he took his favorite products and started selling it to all their patients. And he sold thousands of them in a couple of 2 months. Why? Because patients were aware that they wanted to build their immune system. So that's what they did. Another one of my patients decided to do testing, right? They were offering testing, antibody testing in their practices. They were able to reactivate all of their inactive patients, and they got a whole bunch of new patients just by creating that scenario. What are you doing like that? How are you managing your money right now? Are you investing in you? Are you investing in your people? Are you able to maybe not spend money on the things that really don't matter right now, and be frugal during this time because we don't know how next month is going to be or the following months, etc. Then I created questions when it came to time. How am I spending my time? Am I spending my time in my business? Am I spending my time in my personal? Where can I spend my time a little bit better? Am I actually doing the 20% of the things that I do every day that yield 80% of the results, the 80-20 rule? Or am I spending 80% of my time in distractions, in other people's agenda? So I created a scenario of questions about that. And then I did the same about impact. How do I create more impact in others? Do I start identifying my needs? Do I start really looking at my products and my services? Do I start communicating the value of chiropractic more today than ever? Am I doing postings every day? Am I putting videos on there? Am I calling my patients? Am I sending them emails? Am I doing webinars every single week for my patients, for my community? Those are the practices that are thriving right now. They didn't sit still. They knew that they had to do something if people weren't coming in, or if less people were coming in, right? These were the practices that were messaging their patients that we were following sanitary protocols. Yes, we are cleaning the table right in front of you before you lay on it. Yes, I am washing my hands before I touch you. Yes, we are wearing masks, not because we believe in it or not, but because we're wanting to be respectful to you. And we have masks for you available in case you forget yours. Yes, we're keeping social distances to the best of our ability. You know why that's important, right? When the beginning of that, I thought, oh my gosh, how crazy. I don't believe in any of that, right? We don't believe in the germ theory per se. But you know what? I had to realize, especially doing all the media that I'm doing, that that's what people are obsessed with because that's what they hear in the news every single day. So we need to follow that. We need them to make sure that they're comfortable coming to see us. And then I went a step further. I started recognizing that every single one of those areas have metrics, things that we can measure. In the business world, some of these metrics are very familiar. But on an everyday world, right, in our practices, we don't have an MBA, most of us. We don't go to school and have all these measurements. Most of us pretty much keep very few metrics on a weekly basis. So what I did is I started interviewing some of the best business people that I knew, and I started going back into the literature and looking at studies and realized that Money has about 10 metrics that if you follow them, you're going to be successful. Time has about 10 metrics that if you follow them, you're going to be successful in managing your time. And impact had about 10 metrics that if you do them correctly, if you follow them, you're going to do extremely well when it comes to serving a lot of people. And I put all these metrics in place in order for you to be able to do this quick assessment and see where am I. You know, if you're not doing too well in that metric, let's take one, gross revenue, right? If you're not doing well in gross revenue, let's say that your gross revenue typically is $1 million and you only made about 500,000, then you're going to put yourself 5, right? You're halfway to your goal. Maybe you put yourself at 3, knowing that you can do better. So if you're not doing well on your goal, on your metric, you're going to put somewhere between 1 and 5. If you are doing well, you're going to put somewhere between 5 and 10. And that's the way we do it. But when you fill this out, what's beautiful about this is that all of a sudden, it gives you a very quick glimpse as to what areas you need to work on. And it gives you actually an index that tells you exactly where you are when it comes to those 3 areas. So I did that in money, I did that in time, and I did that in impact. And then it gives you that index at the end that I call the Fab Life Index, which allows us to understand where are you right now. Now, the beautiful thing is that you can take this index, right, this assessment on a weekly basis or on a monthly basis. To all of my clients, to all of the people that I serve, I'm encouraging them to do on a monthly basis. But the beautiful thing is that I want to make the assessment accessible to you. I usually charge $500 for that assessment, but I'm going to make it as a gift to you, right? For coming here, for being able to support ChiroHealthUSA, for being able to want to learn, to be better, so you can serve people greater. The next process, the second process, so remember, the first process is doing a very thorough assessment where you are today, so that way you know what to do in order to thrive. That's the only reason why the assessment is important. You got to know where you are before you know where you're going. It's that simple. The second process is what determines your outcomes, and that is what I call the need and values. So the need and values means this. What is it that your patients need right now? What is it that your community needs right now? You see, one of the biggest challenges that we have in chiropractic is that we always want to push chiropractic. But we already know by studies that have been done recently that less than 15% of the public has experienced chiropractic or even know what it is. That means over 85% of the people don't wake up saying, I want to see a chiropractor today. Boy, do I really need an adjustment today. They don't. But they have other things that they're looking at, right? They're looking at how they're sleeping, how much weight have they gained during this pandemic. I've been doing a lot of segments on the quarantine 15. That seems to be how much the average American has gained during this pandemic since it started. So I want you to know you need to be a good listener right now. I want you to know you got to be a good observant. So ask your patients, maybe do a quick monkey survey to all of your patients, asking them, you know, what is your biggest health need during the pandemic? What is your biggest stress during the pandemic? What is your biggest challenge in living a normal life during the pandemic? Whatever you want to ask, but ask them what is important to you. Ask him what is important to you. See, if you ask him and they'll tell you what is important to them, now you can communicate in that way and then share the value that you offer. I give you an example. So if you were to survey me and I'm your patient and you say, what is your greatest health need during the pandemic? I would tell you most likely to keep myself as healthy as possible, especially my immune system. Great. Maybe you sell nutrition, maybe you don't sell nutrition, but when I told you that we created that immune pack, it was a huge success. You put together a few immune builders, right? Your vitamin C's, your vitamin D's, you can put some zinc in there. You can put maybe even some omegas, but you put a little kit together and now all of a sudden you have an immune kit, right? I put together my own kit when it came to 3 things: I put together a kit to lose weight during this time that is unbelievable, and I'm selling so much of them. I put together an immune, body strong, right, health strong kit because I knew people wanted immunity. And I put together one about hormonal balance because I realized that the stress factors are so hard that our hormones are all over the place. So those are the 3 kits that I put together. And I'm selling the heck out of them because I know that that's what my survey says when I ask people what they wanted. They wanted to be healthy in those 3 areas. I didn't hardly get anybody saying, I want to get a chiropractic adjustment. But when you tell them, hey, listen, I listened to you, and here's what I have to offer you, right? I have one of my clients has Blueprint of Automation, which is 12 virtual services that chiropractors are offering people. And his clients were having more success during the pandemic than ever because they were able to put the virtual services all in place. So they had a lot to offer their community. So even though they were not coming in as much getting adjusted, they were able to participate in maybe functional medicine or perhaps weight loss or perhaps neuropathy or one of the other services that they were able to offer. What are you doing to be able to engage your patients based upon their needs? See, what I've learned is that when you communicate based on the needs of the person that you're talking to, the engagement is a lot higher. They're more likely to participate in what you're offering. So yes, as a chiropractor, I want to tell you how great a chiropractic adjustment is. But what happened? What happened when we started telling people how chiropractic was going to support their nervous system, support their immune system? The board of examiners told us that we couldn't say that. And that upset a lot of chiropractors. It upset me, but it's what we had to abide by. So, of course, I can't do that anymore. But I can do other things, right? I can't promote chiropractic that way. I can say, hey, listen, chiropractic for over 125 years helps support the body, helps support the health and wellness of the body. I had to be very generic. I couldn't say anything specifically because I didn't want to get in trouble with my license. And I'm sure you felt the same way. So I want you to know that the second process is that you need to actually ask your customer base, your patient base, your community, what do they need, and then be able to support them based upon the things that you have to offer. And if you don't have something they need, create it. Create an affiliate program with somebody that has it. Create a product together. Create something, but give them what they need so they can really be able to benefit from chiropractic after that. And then, of course, the last thing is execution. The third step is that even though you have an assessment and now you know where you are and what you need to do, right? Because I'm going to help you with that. You then do a proper evaluation as to where your community, your patient base is, and what you need to offer them in order to get them back in. You need to take massive action. You got to be very clear as to the plan of action. What are you going to do every single day? And what you do is you write a list of action steps that you do every single day in order to support your goals. That's why that assessment is so important, because when you do the assessment and you know what areas you're weak in, it's so easy to be able to tell you, hey, do this, do this, do that. In fact, the assessment actually guides you as to what are the things that you need to do. I'm going to make it even easier for you, that I'm going to give you something that would allow you to have even more insight. But I want you to know the action thing is important. So this is what my action step looks like. I put the date, right, today's date, and then I put the 5 or 7 action steps that is going to take place today in order to improve my money, improve my time, or improve my impact. And then when I finish it, I put it right there that I finish it. If for some reason I didn't get it done today, I bring that item until tomorrow and I do it that way. And I want to show you how you can do that too. Then when it comes to my money, my time, and my impact, I identify based on those 10 metrics, what are the 3 metrics that I'm going to focus on? What are my priorities? What are my urgencies? And I go ahead and do that. And then I write down what it is that I'm going to do in order to support it. When you do the assessment, I'm going to gift you this part. I'm going to go ahead and give you this like if it was me, based upon the knowledge that I have of the biggest practices in America, and what are they doing during this time, so that way you can kind of get a feeling for what it is for you. And there's no charge for any of this. This is my time to give to you. And then we're going to track it. You see, the beautiful thing about doing the assessment is that every time you do it, it compares it to the assessment you had before in the areas that you were weak. So that way, if I was ranking a little bit low this month, maybe next month I went a little bit higher because I put into place the things that really matter. So this is what I'm going to do for you. For you coming here, listening to this, I'm going to give you the assessment, which I usually charge $500 for. I'm going to gift it to you for being part of ChiroHealthUSA, for being in this webinar, for taking the time. But then I'm going to go a step beyond. For the first 10 people that fill out that assessment, you're going to be able to get 30 minutes of my time. I'm going to gift you 30 minutes. I'm not only going to share with you what you can do right now in order to be able to thrive as a chiropractor, but I'm actually going to give you 30 minutes of my time to answer any questions and show you what it is that I would do if I was you. Knowing everything I have over 35 years, right, in this profession, understanding what this profession is all about, what it's doing right now, what are the biggest practitioners doing, I'm going to share that with you. I want to do that because I want you to be able to thrive during this time. When you thrive, I know that you're going to be able to succeed. Now, if you go to this website, fablifeacademy.com, you're going to be able to, there's a couple of minute video there that explains it, but you put in your information and you get access not only to the assessment, that's the first thing I want you to do, because the first 10 are going to get 30 minutes of my time. That's 5 hours of my time that I'm taking for you. Why? Because I care about you, because I love you, because I want you to succeed during this time. I want you to recognize that you're more essential today than ever, the way that I do, the way that the doctors of chiropractic that are thriving do. If you go to this website, now you're going to be able to take the assessment, but I'm also going to do something else. I'm going to give you access to videos, audios, books, things that are going to help you right now for a limited time. Why am I doing this? Because I want you to recognize that what people pay thousands of dollars for me to support them with, I want to give you access on a short period of time so you know that you can do this. I just want you to taste it. I want to empower you. I want you to recognize that you're the only person holding you back. These circumstances are not holding us back. You're the only person that's holding you back. So if you will follow this, go to this website, fablifeacademy.com. I'm sure that probably Christy can add it to the chat so that way you'll have it. But if any questions, you can also message her or let us know and we'll send you the link. And I want you to benefit from this. And if you do that, I know that you too will also thrive. Okay, Christy, that's all I have for you today. And I hope for those of you that are listening that I brought you some value and maybe reminding or empowering you to recognize that you can do this, that nothing is holding you back but you. You have to have clarity during chaos. You have to have a plan of action, and you have to have the ability to say, I want to do this. So be certain, make a decision today that you're going to thrive, and don't let anyone else dictate your outcome. You define you. Circumstances never have defined you.
Thank you so much, Fab. And everybody is just posting. Thank you so much. You're so encouraging and so helpful. And I added that I feel like you are always helpful and uplifting, and you are exactly what I needed today. I miss you so much.
I'm here.
I have to tell y'all a fun story. I know Fab has another, because he's a busy man. He's got somewhere else he's got to be in 9 minutes. But I'm going to tell y'all a story about one day I was having a really bad day about 5 or 6 years ago. Fab and I had a call scheduled, and there's something with my voice. And he was like, your energy is all off today, and I cannot talk to you right now. And I was like, what? And then he hung up. And all I could think of is, Fab just hung up on me. Well, 2 seconds later, I get a pop-up in my email, and it said, watch this. If you feel better, call me back. And so I click on it, and it was the Minions singing the Happy Song, which ever since then has been on my computer with a link to this YouTube video. And every time I talk to somebody who is just down and needs a little lift, I send them that video because it had such an impact on me that I still talk about it to this day, and I share it with other people. So, and as a person who's had lots of one-on-one time with Fab, helping me personally and professionally, I can just say that 30 minutes of his time it's priceless. So please take advantage and use this as an opportunity. I heard someone say recently, this whole pandemic, this crazy time that we're living in, was a terrible thing to waste because it gave us a lot more time on our hands to be able to just take a moment, step back, breathe, reevaluate the priorities in our life, and we may never get this opportunity again.
Well, thank you, Christy. And I got to tell you, you have been such a great leader in our profession. And ChiroHealthUSA, as you know, I'm a big fan since the beginning, because you guys have not only helped a lot of us in practice by making sure that we're billing correctly and staying compliant, but you also have given so much back to the profession, especially the students. As you know, that's my weakness. And I just want to say thank you and ChiroHealthUSA for all that you do. And I hope that you continue to do so. And I'm always honored when you invite me to do a webinar with you, because I know that your following really loves webinars and they're very engaged. So thank you.
Well, thank you so much. And I have to say that too, Fab was the one who educated me very early on that about the actual cost of chiropractic college and what a huge investment it is for young or up-and-coming chiropractors to choose this as a profession, which is what helped inspire me to ask Doc if we could do something as awesome as a scholarship. And of course, I only asked for $1,000, which wasn't going to do a whole lot to help offset that expenses. And because Dr. Foxworth is such an incredible man, he actually upped it to $20,000, and then now it's $25,000. And 2 weeks ago, I actually visited Palmer College of Chiropractic, where I surprised our scholarship winner this year, normally with the help of the amazing team at Florida Chiropractic Association and Fab. We always present our scholarship winner in front of everyone at the largest chiropractic convention in the country. And we didn't get to do that this year because it's been postponed until November. We didn't want to wait. So I flew to Iowa and did the scholarship presentation. So you can click on that link I just posted and you can see where I surprised Jared. Now, just keep in mind, he really was legitimately surprised. He is a 10-year veteran in the military. And so he's like so cool, calm, and collected, like all the time. And you can see him, he like does this double take and he's like, Christy? But he didn't like just get like super excited because he's like super chill like that from all that military experience. And now he's using that. And we have a great story coming out on our website tomorrow that lets you know about his background. And what's even more impressive is his passion to help our active military and veterans with have access to chiropractic care. And he just has so many great ideas, but he is working with the Patriot Project and with Baron-Hoyt and One Chiropractic to make changes for our active military and veterans and chiropractic right now. And he is still in school. Can y'all imagine what he's going to be like when we unleash him on the world? So make sure you check out that article that comes out tomorrow. If you're one of my state association EDs on here today, just know that that was being sent to your email today, so you get a sneak peek of what that looks like. And Fab, thank you for everything, always and forever, everything.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you. God bless. And all of you that were here, thank you. It means a lot to me that you took the time. And I hope that you put into play the actions that I gave you. Remember, take the assessment. It's going to guide you as to what to do. And I'll make sure of that. Make sure that you listen very carefully and you watch your patients, your community, see what they need. And make sure that you're promoting the values that we have in chiropractic and a chiropractic lifestyle. And also make sure that you take action every day. Don't get distracted by other people's agenda. Make sure you stay within your agenda and you will succeed. You will thrive during this time.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much. And for those of you requesting a link to today's webinar recording, it will be sent in your email automatically in about 1 to 2 hours. So just be on the lookout for that. Y'all have an amazing rest of your day and a fabulous week. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye, y'all.
Thank you.